What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So we have an interesting update when it involves undefeated three-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning undisputed welterweight world champion, who is widely acknowledged and recognized as the number one best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford is 40 wins, no losses, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 going on 36 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Well, Terence Crawford seems to now be preparing for a move, an historic move, to jump up 3 weight classes to junior light heavyweight or super middleweight, 168, and challenge the winner of September 30th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena mega showdown between two fighters that are currently undisputed. But with that said, before we get to that, Terence Crawford doesn't have much interest in giving a rematch to former unified 3-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Earl the Truth Spence Jr. from their highly anticipated July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena showdown that saw Terence Crawford absolutely dominate a fight that on paper was supposed to be 50-50 if there ever were one. It was supposed to be a competitive fight. It was the most highly anticipated fight in the last decade, and it turned out to be anything but that. It was a one-sided, dominant performance on the part of Terence Crawford, as he absolutely dominated Errol Spence, who is now 28 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Terence Crawford, he ended up dropping Errol Spence in the 2nd round, twice in the 7th round, and stopping him in the 9th round. But he absolutely dominated this fight. The fight wasn't competitive. Errol Spence won, I thought, in the 1st round. But after that, I thought after he got dropped in the 2nd round, Errol Spence came out aggressive, hungry in the 3rd round. But in the second half of the 3rd round, Terence Crawford took over and he never looked back. And surprisingly, Terence Crawford, who started his career at 130, became a champion 135, 140, and 147. He was the bigger, stronger man. And everybody expected Errol Spence, who is a southpaw, who was 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm. He started his career at junior middleweight, 154, then campaigned at 147. Everybody expected Errol Spence to be the bigger, stronger guy, as his past fights have indicated that he was the bigger, stronger guy, aggressive guy with an extremely high work rate, breaks his opponents down. After all, his last fight, April 26th, Las Vegas, Nevada, April 16th, Dallas, Texas, AT&T Cowboy Stadium, when he took on a unification bout against former WBA welterweight world champion Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas. It saw Errol Spence break Yordenis Ugas' ribs, nose, and orbital bone. Errol Spence, he broke Kell Brook's orbital bone en route to his first title. He breaks his opponents down physically. He's seen to be the stronger guy, but it turned out to be anything but that. So Errol Spence activated a rematch clause, but Terence Crawford, he has little interest in that. He has more interest in this man, 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is the undisputed super middleweight world champion and widely considered the face of the sport of boxing, in Saul Canelo Alvarez, who's 59 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. This is a mega fight. This is a legacy fight. This is a historic fight for Terence Bud Crawford, if he can secure a possible showdown with this man, Canelo Alvarez, right? But Canelo Alvarez, he's fighting September 30th against another very, very formidable opponent, somebody that he absolutely cannot look past. But if Terence Crawford can secure a fight with Canelo Alvarez, should Canelo Alvarez win and jump up from 147 to 168 and beat Canelo Alvarez, he goes down in the history books as being undisputed in 3 separate weight classes. But first off, Canelo Alvarez has to face this man, three-time junior middleweight world champion and undisputed junior middleweight world champion who's jumping 2 weight classes in Jermell Ironman Charlo, 35 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. So he has to face Jermell Charlo, who is, again, no walk in the park. Jermell Charlo is 5'11.5" with a 73.5-inch arm reach. So before Canelo Alvarez or Terence Crawford can look past to a mega super fight between the two, Canelo Alvarez has to beat Jermell Charlo September 30th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. And again, that's a difficult feat. But if Terence Crawford can accomplish this, that will be huge. So Terence Crawford is trying to build up his body. So it's being reported that he offered Errol Spence a rematch at 147. Errol Spence activated the rematch. And Terence Crawford is contractually obligated to give Errol Spence the rematch. But they agreed to terms where the winner can choose the weight that the rematch takes place, and he will get a bigger share of the pie. And so Terence Crawford is in position to call the shots and what weight class. Now, Errol Spence, he wants the rematch to take place at 154 as he feels like his body just can't make 147 anymore. But Terence Crawford is looking to put Errol Spence in a position where his team is stating that hopefully Errol Spence don't even take it because it's actually a waste of time. And they want to start the journey to building up their body to get into 168 and to get to that fight with the winner of Canelo Alvarez and Jermell Charlo. But that's a sticky situation because historically Canelo Alvarez fights on 2 dates, Cinco de Mayo in May, and he fights Mexican Independence Day weekend, which happens to be today. But he's fighting on the 30th. So now, if Canelo Alvarez wins, there's a possibility that we can make Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. But if Canelo Alvarez loses, then Canelo Alvarez is going to rematch Jermell Charlo more than likely in May, and then he'll fight somebody else in September if he's victorious against Jermell Charlo in May. So Terence Crawford is playing roulette because he's rolling the dice in hopes that Canelo Alvarez is the victor. Because if he loses next week, September 30th, then he's not going to fight Terence Crawford. He's going to rematch Jermell Charlo in May, which means he won't fight again until September, which means it makes sense for Terence Crawford to fight this man here, Errol Spence, to stay active. Now, I like the move. Now, Terence Crawford post-fight, he stated that he is in the hurt business. And why not move up to 154? Because 147 is not easy to make. But nonetheless, according to these reports, Terence Crawford is stating that if he moves up to 154 from 147, he wants to get paid more money. But this starts the journey up to 168, in my opinion, because again, it depends on what takes place with Canelo and Jermell Charlo. Because again, if Jermell Charlo wins and upsets the apple cart, the rematch is going to be huge with a lot of money, especially depending upon how Jermell Charlo wins. If Jermell Charlo wins controversial, or he wins a decision, a split decision, you can best believe Canelo Alvarez is not going to let that go unanswered. He's going to rematch Jermell Charlo in May, which means Terence Crawford, who turns 36 on the 28th, just 2 days before they fight, Terence Crawford will be sitting on the shelf for almost a calendar year again because he fought Errol Spence in July. And if he just sits and waits idle for the winner of this fight, who may not fight him until September, then that means he will have been out the ring for an extensive period of time, 14 months, and going on 37 years of age next September. That's not ideal. You need to stay sharp. But it seems like he wants to just go ahead and prepare his body to move up to 168. But again, a stop at 154 against Errol Spence is not a bad idea, in my opinion. Especially seeing as though I feel Terence Crawford is just a better fighter out of the two. But, you know, he will be 37 by the time this fight rolls around. And Canelo Alvarez, Jamel Charlo will only be 34 and naturally the bigger guy. And they're going to demand the lion's share of the pie in the negotiations. So let's see how this works out and unfolds. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm going. Peace.